Right now, Palworld seems to be the most popular thing. Our friends all have a server. They keep begging us to come play with them, but
it does look fun.
See, I don't know if I'm going to like it, and I feel like I'm going to disappoint people when I don't like it. Do you ever like someone introduces you to their hobby or the thing they like, maybe even just a food or a restaurant, and you're like, ooh, this is bad. I don't like this. This isn't, or it's just not fun to me. I feel like that's going to happen if I play Palworld because I don't have that connection to Pokemon that you do.
Yeah, like Pokemon you're barely too old for Pokemon. It was right in my fucking wheelhouse. Like I was 7 when Pokemon Red came out for Game Boy. Scott, how old are you?
I'm 29.
29? Okay, so you're just a few years younger than me. So you probably hit Pokemon hard around the same time, right?
Yeah, I remember playing some of the games, but I don't have like a lot. Like I don't remember them that well because I usually would just play them like, on like a cousin's thing or something like that.
Oh, okay. Oh, we were like obsessed with it. Like when we were little kids, like we would bring it to school. We'd play Game Boy like on the playground. Someone would bring their trade cable so that you could trade or that you could battle. And the cable only worked like 30-40% of the time. And so it was like always exciting when it did work. I remember like being devastated because my best friend in grade school, Alex, and me were supposed to bring our Game Boys to school and use a trade cable because I needed to trade my Kadabra to him and then have him trade it back to me because trading it was the only way to get it to evolve into Alakazam. There was no other way to do it, and I needed an Alakazam on my squad. It's a powerful psychic type Pokemon. Fucks up other ones. Very high speed, high attack. And I got there on the playground with him like the day before. Like I'm anticipating it. I'm like playing with my Kadabra, and I'm like, this is the last day of you shitty ass Kadabra. Tomorrow you're going to be an Alakazam. Then I get there, and we spend all of recess trying to troubleshoot issues as like 7-year-olds with a cable where we're like, I mean, there's only one place to put it and it's there. What do we do?
I'm out of ideas.
We've blown in it a lot. We've gone like trying to clean it out with our spitty, 7-year-old mouths. And I had to go home that day, like with a Kadabra still, and was so sad. Yeah. Devastated. I have a very strong.
What grade was this?
Connection. This was probably, how old are you when you're 7? First grade, second grade, around there.
It's like third,
second grade. See,
okay.
I
grade then.
The cool thing in my second grade class was Santavius Johnson had this pin that not only could you choose multiple colors by pulling the little sliders down on the side, but it was like there was a not a vibrator, but a motor inside that made the pin tip do like oscillations.
Yes.
And you could put it in these. I don't know. You could trace through these plastic things the stencils that you put on paper,
something like that.
Yeah, and you could create like art with it. And he was really good at that. Like that was the coolest thing we had. We didn't have fucking game consoles.
It's okay. What Taylor's describing
you act
isn't
like you're
remotely
so
cool, dude. When Taylor talks about
5 years,
he might as well be talking about Blue's Clues to me. And he's like, oh, I was devastated at Blue's Clues how this worked out. I wanted Mr. Chair and I didn't. I got the fucking map.
And then when Steve didn't check the mail, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, Blue's Clues and Pokemon ring the same to me. They're just children's things that I never cared about.
Yeah, well, I was a child, and so it was my.
Did you
jam.
watch the show?
There's winners and there's excuse makers. All right, which one are you being right now?
I'm an excuse maker. I was a kid who was into Pokemon. I to answer your question, Kyle, yes. Every Saturday morning, I woke up and watched the new Pokemon on TV.
The new Pokemon. That's the one that has like Ash and
Ash and his like I was coming up in the very beginning of Pokemon. Team Rocket. You got Jesse and James, and all their adventures.
Which one's the girl? Whichever one's the girl. When are they brother and sister?
Then you no, they had kind of a what I now realize to be probably a sexual relationship.
I thought
they were
like
not
gay
siblings,
and they were brother and sister.
No, because one of them was like a rich kid. Because I didn't play the games. I watched Pokemon.
Oh, okay.
One of them was a rich kid. I think it was James, and then Jesse was like poor as shit.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't realize that. It was only like recently that I realized like both of their Pokemon were like sex jokes in some of the season. Like, I think Jesse had like a Weeping Bell, which is like it looks like a fleshlight, and then James had a Weeping Bell, which looked like a fleshlight, and Jesse had Lickitung, which is like a licking Pokemon. And so looking back, I wish they hadn't done that. It's classless, boorish.
Yeah, their Pokemon were sex toys.
Crass. Yeah,
like he was definitely fucking that Weeping Bell.
Were they supposed to be 16? I could never tell how old people were on that show, because like Brock, I always thought was like, oh, he's like an adult because he was a gym leader.
Yeah,
and then like
leader who took care of his like siblings.
Yeah, he had like 8 siblings or something. That's wild. You remember more of the show than I did. I was more into the games than the show, but it was mid 90s Game of Thrones in that when I went to school on Monday, I knew that Alex and Travis and all my buddies, they were going to be like, did you see Ash fight against the third gym leader, the electric gym leader, Lieutenant Surge, who had a Raichu? And the big thing was like, Lieutenant Surge has a Raichu. That's the evolved form of Pikachu, by the way, Kyle. And Ash merely has a Pikachu. And so how's he going? This is insurmountable.
I don't appreciate you talking down to Kyle and I like that. We know which Pikachus evolve into which Pikachu.
I don't think you do. I bet if I would have said what's Raichu, I bet Kyle would have been like, that's what Pikachu turns into. Like, I bet Kyle actually might have known that.
I have no fucking idea about any of that stuff, if I'm being honest. I know, remember when we had a question that was like, what name Pokemon? I named like 3. Like, I know, like Squirtle, you can, and Charizard, like I know like 3 fucking Pokemon. I'm telling you, I saw one of those cards at school in middle school. I remember some kid pulled out some of those cards, and I was like, noted. Okay. Nobody was bringing this shit around in middle school. Like, he's like flipping through these pitches and like, what the fuck is that? He's like, this is a fucking doobly dop. It's got 8 attack, but not against water Pokemon, which sucks because Marcus, the only kid that plays with me, he's got all water Pokemon. I was like, I don't want to be part of that.
Oh, dude, like when I was like the nerdy shit I was really into in high school, I like did not talk about that stuff. I literally had a friend from another school who I was really into that stuff with. And like the thought of like telling my buddies at my high school, like, yeah, I'm hanging out with my other friend I'm very close with, still one of my best friends. And we're going to play Lord of the Rings strategy card game together. That was tight to the chest in high school. Dressed up as Magic. I started playing Magic the Gathering when I was like 16, which is the least cool time to ever start. And so I never talked about that either. Ever.
Taylor was a closeted nerd in high school.
Oh yeah. Like I've always liked.
He had a secret boy from another school who he shared his true self with. Yeah. But not in his own school.
Oh, I remember so many times I'd be with this buddy.
Where's this story going?
It made me laugh. Like me and this friend, we were great buddies, and he would come over sometimes on the weekend and we'd like play these games and everything. And so we were like, I think we were maybe like 16 or so. And we actually went to Gen Con 2006 in Nashville together for a Lord of the Rings tournament. That. Yeah, it's like a nerdy card convention, that kind of thing. But I remember like I'd be playing the game with my buddy, having a grand old time, and I'd like on like a Saturday afternoon, and I'd like see my dad come down the stairs. He'd be like coming downstairs to like do something else, and he'd like look and see me and my buddy playing with what to him is the gayest game of all time, and he would look at me with eyes that said like eyes of cut that out. And I remember the shame, feeling like, oh, I feel dirty doing this. I told you, like, he tried to play with me once when I was in like, I was like 13 or 14, and I tried to get him to play with me. He was always saying it. And I was like in the middle of explaining the rules of the Lord of the Rings. It's basically Magic the Gathering, but with Lord of the Rings. And I remember explaining it to him, and he just like was looking with like a grimace and was like, Taylor, I just can't. And he got up and he went to golf. He wanted to golf by himself instead of learn to play that.
His dad's like, I don't know. I put him on the boys wrestling team. How'd he turn out so gay?
Yeah.
Damn.
Oh, dude, when it turned out I was good at ice
That's
hockey.
it. Get your leotard on.
Yeah. Dude, when it turned out I like ended up being good as a goalie in ice hockey, I could see my dad decide like, all right, this is our bonding thing. Like this is what we do because he's into a bunch of lame nonsense.
Yeah, we can throw all those little cards away.
Did you guys ever do, Scott? You ever do anything like embarrassing that your dad didn't like?
Yeah, I kind of had a similar thing, except it was with Halo.
Okay.
It was Halo 3. I had a buddy of mine that I'd always play with, and he was like so good, and I was so trash. I literally only beat him one time, and it was like frustrating getting my ass beat. So I'm like sitting here, like I'm not like freaking out, but I'm like yelling and shit like that, and he's just walking by in the living room, and he kind of gives me that same look you were talking about.
Yeah.
Like as soon as you said that, I was like transported back. I was like, okay, yeah, no, that sounds like my dad.
I remember
go
trying
ahead.
to explain a game to my dad, a video game. I don't even remember which one. And I was like, yeah, I'm like a lieutenant commander or something, and I'm just trying to explain how the ranks work. I'm not stealing valor.
Yeah.
But he goes, see that, honey? Kyle's a lieutenant commander. Do you have any idea?
Oh, dude, that's devastating.
I was just like, all right, I'll never share my passions with you ever again. What do you like? Let me form a life around it. God damn it.
So I remember like sometimes like that buddy I played those card games with, like he was a good friend of mine. So like he'd hang out with me and my like other buddies from high school. And if he ever started to bring up any of that stuff, I'd be like let's keep that under wraps. No one needs to know that you've been working on a magic card deck.
I had this friend that was a little embarrassing. I definitely wouldn't have wanted some of my friends to know he was my friend. He was just kind of lame. He was in very nerdy stuff, like more nerdy than me. But then I remember we got in this argument about the fucking power loaders in Alien 2 one time. And it's like, we're 12-year-olds. So like, this is my nerdy friend for sure. But he was over my house and he starts explaining, he sang a Weird Al Yankovic song to my family. He sang it. He performed it for them. And he thought it was very funny. And then he explained.
Do you know which one? Was it Eat It?
He's singing Pretty Fly for the White Guy in front of your family.
I think he sang Gump. Gump sat alone on a bench in a park. My name is Forrest, he casually remarked.
I didn't like using it just now, so I can't imagine how your family felt.
Yeah.
Teeth gritting.
He verse after verse, he went on and on. And then after that, he I think he talked about how nuclear reactors work because he was like learning about that in his like private school or something. And just he had this accent as well because they weren't from around here. So it was just a bad look. Dad was just like,
Kind of accent. Where was he from?
Canada.
Well, I don't know, just north of us. You know what I mean? Like you could just hear it. You can hear that Yankee accent. I remember my buddy Curtis, his cousin was from Maryland, and he would come down, and it was like, whoa, you're too pale, and you call Coke pop. We're gonna keep an eye on you, buddy.
We don't trust those states where the schools aren't ranked in the 40s somewhere.
That's right. We've got some religion and togetherness down here. We know our neighbors.
A little bit of culture.
That's right.
I remember I moved to North
Buttermilk.
Carolina, and I didn't want to believe the schools were bad, but they were bragging about being 38th in the country. It's like,
Do they know how many states there are?
maybe not.
They're 48th in the country,
Damn,
Taylor. They
top
have no
100.
fucking clue.
They were 38, and they made some progress. Like, we were previously 44th best schools, and now we're 38. That's not bad, right?
Well, that's because all the schools in Delaware burned down, thank God, because it moved us up.
What state does have the best schools?
It's actually Massachusetts, which is crazy because if you met a dude hanging out in Dorchester, you'd never believe that.
Yeah, they do have a bunch of nice
people
schools.
come there for an education.
Dude, Bruins fans are some of the most educated people around.
Oh yeah.
Don't doubt it.